are so glad you took the time to dig us up. So, let's get to the wooden stake point, shall we, my dear fiends?
Welcome to this week's Monster Magazine Weekly. We just got through watching Creature from the Black Lagoon on Svengoolie on MeTV. He had a nice little tribute to Julie Adams at the beginning of the show. And since we're together, we got to hang out and watch Creature. And Rick, how many times does this make that you got to watch Creature from the Black Lagoon?
I have no idea.
Ricky has
it's a bunch.
Yeah, it has to be what, over? Any ideas there?
From the time I was a kid till now, I really don't know.
You lost count.
I've lost count.
Joining us in the room today is, of course, our super talented cover artist, Ricky Blaylock, our super talented writer, David Walker, and yours truly, Vance Capley. And we're chilling and just talking. And, okay, so anyway, where was the first place you guys saw Creature from the Black Lagoon?
The Big Show in the 70s after school.
Yeah. Dave?
Yeah, same. It was The Big Show. Probably a little earlier than Ricky saw it.
I saw it sometime in the 80s, but I can't remember where. But I just remember Dad going on about how cool it was, and there you go. Like I said, at the beginning of Svengoolie had a nice little tribute to Julie Adams. We found, she passed away, and it's very sad and stuff. And we would really have loved to have had an interview with her in Monster Magazine number 2. And that's our Creature from the Black Lagoon issue. If you don't have it, you need to get it. And here in a little bit, we're going to watch an episode of Kolchak that she was in called Mr. Ring. And we'll be looking at that later and then talking about that here in a minute. Seeing the movie again, you start, thinking of it like you're looking at a movie, kind of like more of a review of it, kind of like, instead of just watching it for fun and whatnot. So I noticed a lot of things, the cinematic choices that I like the sequence where the tent attack. Mm-hmm. It looked, the scene, the way they lit it and everything reminds me of older style Universal horror movies, because it's lit from the floor and it's got the longer shadows, and he's completely freaking out when the creature comes in and grabs his face, that part. And there's the underwater scene where he's trying to grab her foot.
It's not like he's trying to grab it. It's like he's trying to touch it.
Yeah,
touch it. His curiosity.
Exactly. And that's I was telling David earlier, Rick had to step out of the room for that moment. And I was telling David that reminded me of where Mary Philbin is kind of like cautiously trying to take the Phantom's mask off in Phantom of the Opera from 1925. But it's reversed. It's the monster trying to figure out what this thing is in front of him.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like, almost kind of like you know how a kitten is curious?
Yeah.
And they'll paw at something a little bit. It's almost like that's what he's doing.
Yeah. And since this is a podcast, you don't get to see me and Ricky look like we're pawing at invisible things, so, yeah. But David's getting to see it so he can laugh at us, so there you go.
Gosh, I'm trying to think really and truly how many times I've seen this, because I've watched it. Every time I draw a Creature from the Black Lagoon,
you throw it on, don't you?
I'm watching one of the three.
Oh, yeah.
It's like most of the time anything that you do draw, if
yeah,
you're watching.
Exactly.
You put it in and watch it. And to me, it's kind of like it never gets old. You can watch it over and over and over.
How many times have you seen the sequels?
Not as many as the first. But I've seen all of them several times. And then I did get to see the Creature, like I said, back in sometime in the 80s, when we got one of our first VCRs. Mm-hmm. I was able to rent a VHS copy of it in 3D that came with 3 sets of the glasses.
Yeah.
And me and Freddie and Jimmy watched it, my brothers. And I remember, it was better than I thought it would be on TV. But, I would like to see a copy of that again, because back then in the 80s, we probably had a TV that might have been a 27-inch TV, if we were lucky.
Yeah. And also, you have to remember the prints they had of the movie back then on videotape was kind of crummy anyway.
Yeah, they were kind of crummy. Like this right here, it was like crystal clear. I mean, I wonder if they showed this off of like a Blu-ray.
I'm betting they showed
it
off of
was a
Blu-ray.
new print or remaster.
Yeah. That was really cool.
I'm kind of disappointed, though, that when you got that new Universal Legacy set, the box set that's got all of them and all the other stuff in it, that they didn't include a copy of the 3D version with maybe some glasses.
That sucks.
That would have been cool.
Universal should rectify that. If Universal ever looks at this, rectify that, please. Thank you. David, what are some cinematic things you noticed about the picture tonight that maybe you didn't notice before or something?
Well, I noticed the script was how well written the script was. Even the sort of romance dialogue between Richard Carlson and Julie Adams was actually quite well written, and the way it was structured, I thought was very well thought out, and the way they introduced the educational information we needed to know about fossils and the Amazon, and to set us up for to understand the creature and where he fits into the scheme of scientific progress or evolutionary progress. I thought they did a real nice job with that. It's organically a well-written, well-paced screenplay. And in some ways it reminded me of Jaws, the way it carefully and casually built up. Each sequence was a little more spectacular than the next, and all the plot reversals and plot complications seemed to work very well. And I don't know that the two sequels pulled it off.
I'll agree with you on that. One thing I noticed this time watching it more than the other times I've watched it, when you were talking about the romantic aspect of the film, is also that there's like hints possibly that the boss had Richard Carson's boss, which I can't remember that
Mark.
actor's. Yeah,
I can't remember the actor.
Yeah, I can't remember the actor's name now, but you got hints or glimpses. Either they had actually maybe dated at one point, or he was interested in dating her, and she was like, not really. You're just, you're
and
not.
He's jealous.
Yeah,
of Richard Carlson.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of that in that. So I'm wondering,
And she had been working with him before Richard Carlson ever came to Brazil.
That's why I was asking. Maybe that was kind of an underlying kind of thing.
I wonder whatever happened to Bent Whistle.
Bent Whistle, yeah, poor Bent Whistle with his scarred face.
Did they ever show anything about him after that one scene with where the two men fought?
No.
No, as far as I know, he was still laying in the bunk.
The poor man was just lying there, and hands reaching at him, men fighting all over him, and he just lies there.
Yep. Only Bent Whistle could pull that off. Bent Whistle, one of my favorite actors of the 1950s and 60s. Well, 50s especially.
Yes, I Was a Teenage Werewolf and Frankenstein.
Yeah. Now, he wasn't in How to Make a Monster, though, was he?
No.
They had that this other guy who was bald-headed, playing the same role, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. I'm trying to think. But out of the whole cast, I think the boat captain was my favorite
character. He was great.
Yeah, favorite character in the story. Oh my gosh, he was really good.
The scene where he pulled the knife on Mark was good.
Oh yeah, the movie can take place in any time period. You could take that exact same script without changing anything, and just set it nowadays, and I think it would still work.
It would still work.
I mean, a lot of people nowadays wouldn't like that style of storytelling or that style of effects.
Well, of course, they would want the creature to be like ripping people's arms off and swiping them, and their guts fall out all over the boat deck and everything. And as far as I can you never saw any blood in this.
No.
At all.
Mm-mm. You know, there's me and David were talking about this. I think it's when you had stepped out for a minute. The part where they're inside talking, there's a man on the deck, and he screams, and the creature pulls him into the water, right?
Yes.
If they had run out there in a modern film, like you were saying, there'd be like bits of his body parts coming out and blood bubbling up out of the water. I think that's one thing that with these older films, a modern audience, they're not going to like that. Just hint at what has happened. They want to see.
Yeah, they want to see it all. They want to see all the grossness.
Yeah.
Just a hint of it, to let you know what had happened is not going to work. They want to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, you can't do that with.
Which I mean, it's okay for the stuff they're doing today.
Sure.
But for something like that, you don't need it.
No, it's not. It's not necessary.
I like to commend Svengoolie on the little interstitial segments. They were very well done. Particularly the advertisement for Lagoon.
Oh gosh,
perfume
yeah.
Or cologne.
Yeah. Hats off
the
to
song with all that
Yeah.
matched all the scenes.
Oh my gosh, hats off to Svengoolie for those. He's really good at piecing each scene break together.
And his background information on the actors and the movie was very
Did he
good.
delve into any of the special effects that?
He talked about the Bud Westmore
Yes.
and
Taking all the credit for it?
Yeah.
Millicent.
Patrick?
Yeah, Millicent Patrick doing the work.
and he said two things I didn't know, several things, but two of them were that the creature was based on some Elizabethan
Yeah.
drawings of some sort of sea monster type deal.
Yes.
And what was the other thing he said that she based it on?
It was that.
Oh, the Oscar.
Yeah. The
Oscar
the
statue.
Oscar
Oscar
statue.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
That was just really neat.
But yeah, I mean, you gotta give Westmore credit. He took her design and brought it to life. Yes, he did. But did he design it? No. I don't think for a second that he did.
Yeah.
And I think he got jealous of all the attention that she was getting because Universal had her out on tour
Yeah.
with all these drawings and everything that she had done for it and stuff. And he didn't like it and wound up pretty much blackballing her and firing her from the,
Oh gosh.
and she wasn't able to do anything after that, really.
Yeah, that's sad.
That's a shame because that's the best designed monster in cinema.
100% yes on that.
Oh, it's number one on my list.
Mine as well. I mean, you can't.
I would have to say the top three monsters, my favorite monster designs of all time, are the creature from the Black Lagoon, Alien, and the Predator.
Well, I'll agree with you, except for Predator. I'll put Godzilla on the spot because I'm a nerd. So there you go.
Well, yeah.
Then Predator, next. Now, let's see. Now, Julie Adams, she was like a ray of sunshine in this movie, and she didn't really get to if the movie had been done nowadays, they would have given her more of a prominent, I'm in the center of the screen, let me do something in this. But the way they did it was, I mean, she is
the creature's love interest.
Yeah, that's very important to the movie. It's almost like a three-way. That didn't sound right. It's almost like
love triangle.
Love triangle. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for that.
A four-sided triangle.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah.
That was just really neat.
Yeah, but you're right. They didn't glamorize her over much, although her hair was always perfect.
Yes, and where she got makeup on that boat, I want to know.
And where did they store all the dead bodies? I want to know that.
That was something I was wondering.
He said at one point he said there's already been 4 people killed.
Yeah.
The two dudes he left in camp. That's 2.
The 2 Indians, yeah.
Who were the other 2?
The 2 dudes on the boat.
Were both of them killed? I saw one of them.
One of them got killed.
One of them got killed.
Then the blonde-headed guy got killed.
Oh, I'm outside of the room. That
Yeah.
okay. The one who looked like Larry Fine a little bit.
No, the blonde-headed one. The boss, Mark.
Oh, but that.
Yeah, but at that point there had only been like 3.
That's right. So it must have been another guy on the boat then.
I wonder if Larry Fine got killed.
Well, I don't think he went with them on the boat, did he?
Yeah, he was on the boat.
Man,
He was mourning the loss of the third guy.
So he fell into the plot hole.
Maybe there was a scene that got cut.
Oh, that's possible.
That's true.
We were talking during a break earlier. I would, and this is just me babbling during a commercial because I do that a lot. I do that a lot anyway. I want to see a movie where Creature from the Black Lagoon versus the old school Wolfman. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I don't know how the logistics would work out for that.
But how would you pull them two together?
I don't know. That's the thing. The logistics of it all.
Would you maybe like have the Creature from the Black Lagoon's been captured and he's put on display?
Well,
and Larry Talbot goes to see him.
Yeah.
And he breaks out of the cage and it happens to be a full moon.
Well, yeah. That's one way to do it. I love your idea. The other option is Larry, after a night of being the Wolfman, he wakes up on a beach to find the creature who's been freshly wounded, and he wants to help him. You know how they do these things.
Well, that wouldn't be the creature versus the Wolfman.
No. But then when he turns into a Wolfman, then their battle begins.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Now, Vance has a cool comic idea about telling the creature story in Florida during the Civil War.
Yeah.
You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I was thinking about, like, during the Civil War, you'd have, toward the, down at the bottom of Florida there, those folks didn't care about anything anyway, in that region, and they were doing trade with pirates and Frenchmen and all this stuff. Why not have the story of the creature set there, in that time period? Just to be a different look at it, a different idea on it. But again, that's sun drop rambling, and I'm sorry, y'all.
I like it.
But now, if there's anything that you could change about Creature from the Black Lagoon, besides seeing it more and more, what is there anything you would want to change about the movie?
I believe I would make Mark a little more sympathetic. Mark was
kind of one-dimensional.
A little bit. I mean, I've seen much more blatant villainry, but the conflict between him and David, it was interesting, and it added tension to the movie. But I would have liked to have seen a little more of his good side from time to time.
Yeah.
Did he have one though?
Well, at the beginning of the movie, they were all getting along. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I think he saw it as more money for the university.
Yeah. Well, also for the fame of it all.
Yeah. I think was his biggest thing, was he wanted to be famous, and that was going to get him there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, all that's fine, but I would have liked to have seen that balanced with more good qualities.
Yeah. A good villain doesn't always have to be twirling his mustache, going.
And he wasn't. He wasn't. That.
No.
I mean, he was much better than that. I'm not.
I'm joking.
It's a minor complaint.
Yeah. Rick, anything you would change?
I don't think I would change anything.
Not a thing.
Maybe make it a little longer.
Well, yeah. Well, what would you add?
Maybe more scenes with the creature.
Yeah.
Well, for a movie of its day, I thought it showed the monster
quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it showed it very quickly because the hand.
The very first shot.
Was it like 5 minutes in?
Less than that.
Yeah.
Fewer than that.
Yeah. It's right by the bank. Just. Whoa.
I remember as a kid, we always judged movies by, did they show the monster enough? Did they show the monster? Because some movies didn't, or they didn't very much.
Yeah.
And you always felt a little cheated.
Yeah.
Or if it was a vampire movie, does it have biting in it? Does it show him biting?
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to take a pause, and then we will be back, and we're going to take a look at Kolchak, Mr. R.I.N.G, and we'll be back in just a second.
Vance Capley is a self-taught artist who has worked in various mediums, including drawing, painting, and graphic design for over 20 years. He now has his designs here on TeePublic, old school, unique, stylish. He is also available to help you with your original TeePublic designs. Make sure you visit Vance Capley Art 1972 at teepublic.com. You'll be glad you did.
All the little ditties we learned as children.
Yes. Okay, we are back now, and we just got through watching Mr. R.I.N.G, the episode of Kolchak, the Night Stalker, with the Julie Adams. May she rest in peace. Everyone talks about how sweet she was, what a wonderful person she was. I personally never got to meet her, but everyone says nice things about her, and she always seems like a nice lady on interviews and stuff. On here, she played a lush, and she was only on there for maybe about 15 minutes.
Maybe 3 scenes.
3 scenes, something like that. But she did a great job. I mean, yeah. Can't argue that. Speaking of Kolchak, we are putting together a gigantic Kolchak issue of Monster Magazine. And we've got Sterling Clark involved, and we're going to interview Jack Greenwich, and we're also interviewing Mark DeWinzak. How do you say that?
Winzak?
Yeah, and it's going to be like a massive magazine. It's going to be thick as all get out. 2 different covers. It's just going to be a beast, and we're hoping everyone looks forward to that. As for this episode, though, we had a blast watching it. There was no monster per se, but you have to watch it. And if you haven't watched it, go watch it right quick, then come back. There was no monster per se in this episode. And if you have not watched this episode yet, go watch it, then come back, and then we can all sit around and chat about it here in the old mausoleum. I thought the robot was really cool, and I think one of my favorite things was it's the Tyrell Industries.
Yeah.
And I love Blade Runner, so there you go.
And that was an interesting, probably coincidence.
Yes.
I don't know if it was called Tyrell in the original novel from the 60s.
Right.
Probably was. Can't remember.
You know, I've never read the book. I've only seen the movie. I've never read the book. I need to read it. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Yes.
Rick, what did you think of the robot's design?
I thought it was pretty cool. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the design for the robots in Westworld.
Yeah, I can see that.
At it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And since this was produced by Universal, I wonder if the same people who did the look of the robot on here also was the same special effects people who did the look of Maskatron or over at $6 Million Man, back in the 70s also. Because it's fairly similar, but not,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. There was no John Saxon involved, so it couldn't be, it's cool. I mean,
I thought Julie Adams gave a really good performance, and she was, playing half drunk in every scene she was in. And she did it quite well.
Oh, yeah. It would have been neat to have seen her do a little bit more in this episode, but I mean, it was what it was. The whole episode flowed well, and I really enjoyed it, except for one scene, and we discussed that. Kolchak came on a little too strong. It was almost like out of character to me.
Yeah. He was first interviewing the female doctor.
But it makes me wonder, though, because as you get later into the story, it's almost like he's pushing really hard to find out this stuff. So maybe he was doing that on purpose, maybe to try to goad her into saying something. Mm-hmm. So
lots of nice visual touches in this episode. The direction was good.
Oh yeah, there's a great shot. I think the editing department did a great job where he comes around into this living room area, and there's a statue, a bust. And the way they cut it with the music, the timing of the music as well, and it was just on point. I really liked that. It's kind of
It was a quick zoom into the bust. It startled him. He thought it was the robot.
Right, and it was kind kind of like a back and forth as well, mixed with that. I like that a lot.
The scenes with Simon Oakland were quite good in this one. They're always highlights, but I thought they were particularly good in this one.
But those two, when they're together, are they like, you would consider them the comic relief of the show?
The whole show is comic relief.
Yeah.
Well, not the whole show, but yeah, those are the biggest, to me, the biggest laughs.
Yes. When I was talking to Jack Greenwich, he said that they had a lot of fun putting the shows together, and he knew Terry McGavin before this, so they already knew each other, and so when you see them two goofing around on their scenes, I can just imagine them as soon as the camera cuts, they're both laughing, So, but yeah, that was a really neat episode. I've seen it. I didn't get to see Night Stalker and Kolchak until it was run on the CBS Late movie when I was a kid. And these guys got to see it first run. And as long as you got to see it, is all I'm saying. But this one I don't remember seeing on CBS Late movie. I didn't see it until I bought the box set.
Well, I don't remember watching this one, on the first run.
Right.
But, I watched them. The ones that stick in my head the most on the first runs that I saw on Friday nights when I was a kid were the headless motorcycle ride.
Oh gosh, yeah.
The lizard monster in the zombie, of course.
Yeah, of course.
The Jack the Ripper, the female vampire,
Mm-hmm.
The werewolf.
and the ones with Richard Keel.
Yeah.
Oh, the werewolf was a good
The werewolf.
The one that scared me as a kid was the vampire woman one. And I remember that. I was sitting in the living room and there it was, and then the flashlights, the lights coming from like side low or whatever, and she flashes her fangs, and and it's just like whoa! And I was a kid, and I was like, bam! Let's go.
The one that scared me the most as a kid was the original movie.
Oh yeah.
See, I didn't get to see that till later because they didn't put that in the.
Oh, that scared us half to
syndicate.
death.
As far as I remember, I don't remember it being shown on the CBS Late movie. It might have been though.
I don't remember it. The first movie is the scariest. I thought the Jack the Ripper was scary. I thought the zombie one had some scary moments, particularly at the end when he was sewing his lips up.
Oh yeah.
After putting salt in his mouth.
I think
he was about to sew his lips up.
Yeah. That part where he was doing that, it's like super suspenseful. And I think a part of this show is the comedy helps make the suspense all that more, what's the word I'm looking for, tangible? No?
Yes. Well, one thing I like about this show, one of the things that makes it scary, or made certain episodes in the Night Stalker TV movie scary, is that the main character who we experience the show alongside is often very scared himself.
Yeah.
And very much in danger. He's not, a Superman. He's not a stoic, sort of non-scared type person. He's very jumpy.
Yes.
And he gets very scared, and that communicates itself to the audience, and we get more scared as a result, I think.
How many times when you're watching this, you could picture this made in the 50s with Don Knotts, or 50s or 60s with Don Knotts in it?
I was gonna compare him kind of like to the Ghost of Mr.
That's
Chicken.
what I was thinking. Attaboy, Luther.
Not that he's a Mr. Chicken.
No.
No, but he's a normal human being who gets scared.
And he does what he
goes
has
into some of these places in the show that I'd be like, no.
No.
Not going to happen.
Well,
interesting references to Watergate and
and
unrest in El Salvador.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even a reference to Charlie McCarthy, which, as Vance pointed out, was a little dated even for 1975.
There was like a phase, I remember in the mid-70s, and the only reason I remember this is because my mom and dad commented on it a lot, and I was still pooping yellow. But anyway, I remember mom and dad talked about this a lot, is that there was like a phase of like the older 20s, 30s, 40s type material becoming like popular again, or maybe being shown a lot on television or something.
Well, I think people had time to get nostalgic for it.
Yeah.
By then, and I know Edgar Bergen was appearing on the Tonight Show and stuff a lot in
That's right.
that period. Right. Candace Bergen was becoming a big star.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know how old Julie Harris was precisely in this, but I thought she, I would say her acting in this showed more range than it did in The Creature from the Black Lagoon by far.
Yes, Julie Adams, she was on top on this one compared to the Creature. Creature, she was to be pretty and scream, and I think that was about it.
Well, she was supposed to be pretty...
not ditzy pretty or anything.
No, not ditzy at all. I mean, she
was smart.
Smart and not scared of much of anything.
Right.
Which got her in trouble on that lengthy swim.
Yes.
They got worried about her. She went out too far. But she, they were talking about, sending her back and not taking her on the voyage, and she wanted to go.
Yeah.
Into the Black Lagoon, even.
And I love that bit where the captain's up there trying to get her to get back on the boat. Get back on the boat.
Right.
She didn't listen.
Too far.
Yeah.
She kept going.
Oh my gosh. But this has been fun tonight because we got to do two cinema things. Well, one's a TV show, but who cares? And we got to remember Julie Adams. We know that she's been in a ton of movies and TV shows, and these are the two we wanted to talk about tonight. And we appreciate her work, and we're very thankful that we got to see her on television and in film.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're going to wind up Monster Magazine for this week. Make sure to share this video podcast thing with your friends and stuff, and remind them we do make a magazine. It does exist, believe it or not. Rick, how many issues have you done so far?
4.
4? My goodness, 4 issues. Yeah, and they're for sale. So you can look on Indie Planet. You can look on Amazon. You can look on Lulu. You can look on VanceCapleyArt.com. You can look on Facebook, Twitter. What else? Route 68 Toys and Collectibles in Xenia, Ohio. They carry our books. We're working on trying to get the books everywhere that you could possibly imagine, and we're trying to get them in Barnes and Noble. We have a digital version available at Barnes and Noble. But tell people about our stuff. Buy some of our books. We have T-shirts up on TeePublic that have Monster Magazine all over it and whatnot. And if you buy our stuff, our artist Ricky will pose naked for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Is that good, Rick?
I sure hope you're editing that one out.
No, not really, no. So anyway. But anyway, we will be back soon, and we're glad you sit down to visit with us. So for Vance Capley, I say good night.
Good night.
David Walker signing out.